Hey, Jason Small here with Brian Atkins, the We Know Dirt podcast. I guess it's July 29th, 30th?
30th.
July 30th. So we're getting through. It's hard to believe we're almost in August already. I don't know. It seems crazy. Green plot time and starting to get some good deer pictures and things like that, I guess, in the real estate world. It's fairly slow just because, of the timing with the crops being in and hard to get and look at a lot of the foliage on trees and things like that. We've still been selling some stuff, seems like, gearing up to take off here in the fall. But we want to talk today. There's been a few things happen, or a few things, I guess, one major thing in the state of Missouri anyway. Missouri passed a bill to eliminate capital gains taxes, which I believe, I was talking to a CPA about it earlier this week, and they said that it was the state capital gains was about 4.85%. And it doesn't sound like that's necessarily significant other than the fact that, a lot of these people are sitting here holding on to a farm that they may have bought back in 1965. It might be a pasture piece or a timber piece that, they kind of want to sell, but they didn't want to give it away in taxes. And now it's getting where, you could sell that thing or even a farm that the rate of return they thought for the $300 an acre they give for it was great. They're haying it and somebody's giving them $35 or $40 an acre, which is fairly low. But for the $300 an acre they're doing pretty good, and we really don't figure it off of that rate of return wise. We figured off what that farm's worth versus, where that farm's $300 an acre, $100 an acre back in 1960 when they bought it, or 65 or 70 or whatever. That farm's worth now, so $300 an acre, it's worth $7,000 an acre, $6,000 an acre, something like that. So people could even take it, and money markets have been pretty good, 3.5% to 5%, depends on what you got. They could take that money and invest it. Now they will have their federal capital gains they'll still have to incur, which I think it's, based off your tax filing income, $0 to $46,000 a year, I think, is 0%. And then this is long-term capital gains. And then above that $46,000 threshold, I think to like $500 and some $1,000 is that 15%. And if you go over that, it goes to 20%. But most people fall in that, you're going to fall in that 15%, tax threshold. So, it is a better time to sell. I mean, as far as taxes go, stuff's still high. I think that's going to be something that people can really benefit. And then it starts immediately. I think it starts here in August. If you sell something in August, you won't incur that state capital gain. So, I think that could be a real big benefit. We're trying to get the word out. We're going to link some stuff. I think there's Missouri Realtors put something out about it, and some other articles on it. We'll link in the podcast here, but that's pretty significant. I mean, I know buyers want to know. I've told a few about it now that we've got stuff under contract, and they didn't know about it. And obviously, we're not CPAs or lawyers. We're not giving people tax advice or legal advice, but it's something to ask about. If you've been holding off on selling because those taxes are significant, the way the money markets and other things are, you weren't wanting to 1031 back into a property or something like that. It's a really good time to do it now. I mean, it makes it more affordable. You could hypothetically take your money, put it in the money market, 3 years, you're back whole, and go on, do what you want to do.
It's definitely something you need to make a phone call to your CPA and just be aware to ask about, and then give us a call. And let us come tell you what we can sell your place for.
Yeah, let us give you an idea what it's worth. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I've hit on a little bit before, about the Bo Safra, the people that we're partnered with, United Country, that are doing some stuff with nutrients of properties when you buy them. We just bought a property. We bought 80 acres, and that had them come do a survey, did soil samples with the micro and macro nutrients on it. I have about $1,450 an acre of deductible, I guess depreciable assets on that farm. Besides the ponds and the terraces and fences and any structures, those macro and micronutrients are so it became pretty significant. It was over $100,000, and I think there's ways you can take it out. 4 different ways you can deduct it, on the length of terms or whatever else. But it's something significant that we offer with United Country. They're partnered with Bo Safra Ag, that come out and do the reports for you, and they do all the legwork.
It's a detailed report too.
Yeah, it's really several pages. They take the soils and analyze everything, not just where you're looking at P&K. A lot of things, nitrogen leaves, but P&K a lot of times they're taking all the way down, down to the
magnesium,
absolutely,
boron, calcium, everything.
Yep, they take it all the way down, which lime's a big one, but they do all that. It's made it really simple for me.
What did it cost? It wasn't that much an acre, was it?
I think it was around $40 an acre.
Typically, a lot of landowners that own farms anyways, typically whether the farmer's doing it, whether they're sharing the cost with the landowner, they're soil sampling every few years anyways. So really, you can look at it like, you're going to get your soil sample. You're going to get a lot more detailed soil sample than what you are if you're just pulling one to go out and lime.
Yep, and I talked to now it has to do with when you bought it, so it'd be fairly recently. I think in the last 10 to 15 years. You can go back that far though, and I think it changes the code you have to use to be able to deduct it. But they when I'm talking with the reps for Bo Safra, they were telling us that they've only done 2 or 3 properties. They've done thousands. They've sampled it, and they do brushland in New Mexico, and they do swampland in Florida, all the way down. And they've only had a couple properties that didn't qualify for something, didn't have something there, it was depreciable. They said a lot of times in the Midwest where we're at, you're looking at $1,200 to $1,800 an acre, and if it really would be more beneficial if you're hanging on to it. If you're something you're keeping, obviously you wouldn't want to buy it and depreciate it and then turn around and sell it in a year or two, because you're going to get, you're going to
recapture it.
You're going to get, just like anytime you sell something like that. But, anyway, it's something that's an advantage to some of these, some farmers, investors, things like that that we have at the tip of our fingers. It's one phone call, and we could set them up right with those people and get going on that. So just a couple, I guess that's a PSA. We're always looking for ways to help people with taxes, and it's such a huge cost and expense. You make everything you make, they get taxed, and when you buy it, they tax you. When you sell it, they tax you. When you die, they tax you. So it's
they tax you to own it.
It's every year.
Every
year what you pay in taxes. So,
but there's a couple different things that people could. Different avenues to call and explore, because again, that's a good CPA question too, just like with the Bo Safra, because and it's stuff that we need to look into more, but like, I don't know how it works. You buy this farm and we get him out here and cost you $40 an acre, whatever it does. And just say there's $200,000 depreciation on it that you're able to take off. Well, in 3 years, what if you sell it and you 1031 it and go into another farm? Or are you going to have to recapture it then, or how?
No, I think it just lowers your basis off the farms the way that works. I could be wrong, but I think when you depreciate something off of it, I think now, again, hey, we're not CPAs, we're not lawyers.
Far from it.
The furthest thing from it. But my understanding is, I know enough to be dangerous, and you have obviously absolutely have to talk to your CPA, but I think it just lowers your basis on the property. So if I went out there and give $7,000 an acre for a farm, or somebody did, and then they took off the $1,400, then your basis is going to move down, in that $5,600 range in your basis. So if you sell it above that, then your gain is different, So,
but it's a good thing, for a lot of guys, and like my personal strategy, of, unless you plan on selling out, it's a good way to build up and get a lot of equity. And hey, you take and able to depreciate out, a couple $100,000 on an $800 or $1 million farm. That saves you right there. You got a land payment right there for a year, that saved you on taxes.
Absolutely. It's hey, it's like anything, and the code's there, it's there for everybody to use. And usually people, pretty wealthy people use that stuff, smart people and wealthy people. So, something we can hook them right up with. And they did do a very detailed report. They've got lawyers and CPAs on staff that if your CPA has questions or isn't really sure, they've defended this stuff and whatever, and so they're up on it, know how to use it. But it is, again, something that we can definitely help people with, getting in touch with them. We're happy to do
and
that.
Not only that though, but it's not just from the buying side, but from a seller's perspective. See, like I know there's a farm that I think that we're fixing to be bringing to market that from a seller's side, like, hey, this is something that could really make you a lot more money.
Yeah.
You know, it may be something that we want to do pre-listing it, have him come out, and then that way, hey, here, you know, you spent $40 an acre on it right now, but that $40 an acre may make you $500 an acre when we go to list it.
Well, it's something that people don't take into enough account, you know, with farming background like we've got, and hey, paying my fertilizer bill this spring and everything else. When people buy properties, especially investors, and I would say there's a lot of times ground changes hands, and it's not something people think about. Fertility.
Yeah.
When you take now you know, a lot of farmers think about that when they're buying stuff, but you know, Kevin bought a farm a couple years ago, and I think it was just to build it back to flush was $350 an acre.
Yep.
That's significant. I mean, that's a significant thing. I don't want to get off the beaten path with that. So you should know where your fertility's at. If you're just an investor renting to somebody, you should pay attention to where your fertility's at. And if your fertility's up to where it ought to be, then this deduction, you know, if when you buy the farm, if the fertility is in good shape, you will have that deduction right off the bat. You know, that's one thing that's you know, it's something, you know, it's kind of the way we look at things. You know, when we look at them, you know, we hunt, we farm. You know, we look at properties, we look at them through our own perspective, and those are, you know, advantages that our clients have that other people that don't have, you know, to get that, you know, to look at that. You know, Rob just listed a farm over in Clark County, and that thing's got, you know, it's been grid sampled, you know, out the wazoo, and they've had a, you know, a 5-year build on this thing, and it's just a really good piece of information. And it's value added to the property.
It is.
You go out
100%.
there, and if you've had a farmer on that thing, if somebody's had investor had a farmer on that, and they've been mining it, you know, for the last 3 or 5 years, hey, it's gonna.
There's quite a few of those out here. There's quite a few of them.
Yeah, there's a dynasty of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough of that. So a few things that the capital gains, the state of Missouri capital gains, state capital gains, you know, depreciable assets on the nutrients and the properties, you know, that you own with Bo Safra Ag, a partner with United Country. Well, I kind of wanted to touch on those today a little bit, and then from there, I guess we can talk about what's going on real estate wise. And I guess we go from right now. We can talk about green plot time, deer and green plots. It's in full swing. You know, I think the last time we did a podcast, you know, it was a little early. Old boy had his cameras out already, but it was a little early really to see what deer are going to be. But hey, he's seen what there are now. He's got some.
I mean, out of all my clients and myself and Tyler and all, he's got probably some of the best pictures around right now.
He does. He's doing great, and got some good deer pictures. You know, we're showing up some deer, but just it's been so hot. We had this hot snap.
We've had such good rain. Like we've got to have some record crops this year. I mean, everything is green. These big bucks, they ain't got to move nowhere to go eat. Yeah. They literally don't have to, and you know, and with the rain, like, you know, we like to do green plots a touch earlier than what a lot of people do. That's just my preference, but we've knocked around the last 2 weeks and put about 25 acres in so far, and got a lot of them up and looking good so far. But I mean, and I'm not knocking the rain at all. I love the rain, but we've had a pile of rain this time, it's staying tough to try to get in and out. And just like we're fixing to have some of the coolest weather coming up the next couple of days, it's just unreal. But I know the heat's still going to be here.
Oh yeah,
we're not fooled yet.
So don't. I've been around Missouri a little longer than you have in Iowa. So hey, we get this 1st of August, this cool snap where it's highs in the 70s and lows in the low 60s or upper 50s. Don't let it fool you, because we're going to have we'll have a week of misery yet coming. But right now, I think crops. I keep saying it too. Every crops look great. I mean, we've got about as good now, barring a major, you know, wind event or hail or something like that. We have potential now out of this world. I think a lot of the early beans, I don't think it'd have to rain again now. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we'd really have to have another rain. You know, we had a lot of places had 5+ inches of rain last week in this area. Got another probably inch of rain this morning. So I think
at my Appanoose farm, not counting this morning, but just from Sunday to Sunday in 7 days, it was 11 inches.
Yeah.
Over there.
We have plenty, and really lucky because there's so much foliage right now, and there's so many crops in the field. We did have some flooding, but not as bad as you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was soaking it up, and I've got, you know, we fungicided our beans last week. Brock come down, or maybe it was Monday, but come down to Sunday, I guess it was, and had a lot of Japanese beetles getting in them. Those things are nasty. But we decided to put a little boron on. So I mean, our beans are R3, R4 already, and feeling good. So we'll have a real good crop in this area, which is not helping the prices. I mean, I think I looked a little bit earlier, and beans are $10 or sub $10 for the future. So, you know, and obviously we've got a negative basis everywhere at the elevator. So that's a bad thing. We are going to have a good crop. Good news is we're going to have a big trucking bill. So, but yeah, hey, green plot time. I haven't got a thing done yet. I sprayed to put my green plots in, but I kind of held off, and then it rained, and I was kind of in between and didn't get it done yet. So I'm hoping I get something in. Clover looks really good. Probably needs mowed again.
Yeah,
right
the
now.
clover, I've mowed most of all the clover twice now and sprayed it once, and all the clover's in good shape. And
it will be, talking about this rain, it will be interesting to see how EHD turns out. You know, everybody tells you wet springs and dry summers, right?
Yeah.
Wet springs and dry summers. And this year it was a fairly wet spring, was decent, had some rain, but not overly wet, and it wasn't flooding or anything like that. And we've had a wet summer, not a dry summer. So we'll see if this midge fly shows up and we get hit with this EHD later on. I mean, obviously pray not. You know, and I know that the UC Hunting Properties guys, I know Kurt had a guy on a couple days ago, and I didn't get a chance to watch the whole podcast, but they're doing some stuff to come up and fight some of this EHD with these water sources. Mm-hmm. That would be a good one to check out on the
but
UC
you can't do it in Missouri.
Yeah, you can't legally do it in Missouri, right?
You cannot.
Yeah.
NBC don't want that.
They don't want you to.
They just want you to kill them all.
They don't want you to stop the kill. Don't stop the kill of the deer. But so that'll be an interesting thing, and I know we're looking forward to getting some, getting hunting, because it's not far off now, a month and a half, which I probably won't hunt until it cools off a little bit. It's hard for a fat guy to stand sweat.
I'm looking forward to that elk hunt.
Oh yeah. When do you leave on that?
I'm shooting somewhere like the 20th to 23rd of September, somewhere in that time.
So it should be rutting good, I think. I can't. Football is not letting me go elk hunting for a few more years, but we'll get back out there sometime. Yeah, elk hunting's that's with your bow. You've never been before, so
never.
That's going to be a new experience. I'm sure. You probably ruin you. It's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars and lots of time. So hunting 800-pound turkeys that can smell. So that's what it is. And then just on the real estate front, so we're green plots, mowing clover, all the plots, the grain looks good. I mean, there's not too much besides our own lease that don't look very good. Had a lot of water hemp in that, and probably gonna have to switch out of the real world beans or the forage beans and get to something more like an E3 bean on that farm now, just to control the water hemp.
Anywhere where there's water hemp, like I've got 3 or 4 different farms that can't go just Roundup ready no more. But then, for instance, like I sent you a video on that farm that which I double planted them, but 3 acres total split between 2 fields, heavy deer density of the real world beans, and he's gonna make beans. I mean, they're 2 foot tall and blooming, making pods, and they've had a astronomical amount.
They get
of
some
deer pressure.
real world E3 beans will be in there.
Oh yeah, We'll be
in there. Not real world, just forage beans and
well, it's just that mix, of them different maturing varieties, and
Eagle beans too.
Overall, though, to put in 150 acres of grain plots, been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
So,
ought to have a good year. I know there's a lot of good deer showing up. Like I said, old boy's got some good deer, and he runs his cameras hard. I mean, he's out there working at it pretty good. I don't know if anybody's real serious about it yet. Tyler did put some cameras up on that lease, and we're getting we got a real good deer on camera.
We've got like 90 out so far, and he's got more on one camera more good deer on one camera than we do on 90.
He's had a heck of a year last year, and he's starting off good this year. On the real estate front, we've got a few things coming up. Like I said, Rob Miller's got that big farm in Clark County. It's not on the market yet.
You can still call on it.
You can still call.
We can get you on it before it hits the market.
Big tillable farm, and it's a good one. And then we've got those farms in Schuyler County. Rob's got over there. He's got a 305 that Sheridan River bottom. There's some huge deer over in there. That's a hunt with income farm. I think there's 200 acres tillable. 210 acres, something like that. Off the cuff, I think that's about right. Down on the bottoms, it's secluded and it's going to hunt pretty big, have pretty good income. That thing will bring in $180-200 a year on the cash rent per acre. He's got that 129 over there by Rebels Cove. That's all in the Sheridan River bottom there, off Rebels Cove. That doesn't join. The 305 does not join that. The 129 does. But it's a pretty little farm. It makes somebody a whale of a hunting farm. And you've had some experience with being close to Rebels Cove and the pressure. You do get some pressure on Rebels Cove, but it doesn't hurt you.
I joined them directly, and had the same deer for 3 years, and we killed him as a 163. Had his matching sheds off of it. And this was an 80-acre farm.
Yeah.
But we killed. I had numerous deer that made it year in, year out. Never had no trespassing issues, nothing. And
that's the thing. I know it's a mixed bag. Some guys, they won't have it, won't be part of it, whatever else. We've had some ground that joined across the road from public ground, and we never had any trouble with it either. And the good thing is they can't hunt on you, and you can hunt all that. So if you find the hole in there to kill the deer, you can get over on that ground and hunt it. So, but that 129, I think it's got 50 acres tillable, 55 acres tillable, and then there's 20 in hay ground that could be tillable or food plotted with a nice pond on it, water and electricity, over in Schuyler County, and then a little 78 he's got over there as well.
Then we got our Mercer County, that 60-acre piece. We reduced the price on it. Crops look good on it. We got a good deer from last year that's already showed back up over there, probably a mid to high 50 style deer, but getting quite a few pictures there. And then I noticed the Dare 160 that we've got listed. I see where Midwest Land Group just listed the farm that joins it to the south, 565 acres. So there's the potential there. Someone could put them together, 700 plus acres.
Yeah,
one farm on a dead end road.
Yeah,
and one hedge. And so that's something anybody that's looking for a big farm, call me. We could put it together.
Yeah, there's a 40 in, as far as hunting farms go anyway, we got that 40 in Knox of dads that down there, and it's all timber, and it's a good little hunting farm. We got several good little, I would say younger deer on there, but there's a big one in there somewhere. 100% tillable, and Old Boy still has the 488 up towards Mount Sterling up there in Missouri and Clark County. Whale of a farm. So there's still some stuff out there.
We've got some off-market stuff, pocket listings. That if you're looking for good hunting farms, you can call us on.
Good hunting farms, and we've got a few houses and some things like that too. Talia's got I got a nice newer home across the road over here, 6-bedroom, a big house.
We've got a nice house we're fixing to list tomorrow on 6 acres with some of the most impressive deer history you've ever seen.
Crazy little tract in Iowa. It's got big deer and big deer history crazy.
Nice house, in-law suite, big shop. We're going to try to have it up next week.
So there's some things going on. It is just traditionally a slower time for us, and it is right now. But I think it's going to get going this fall, and with the things that are going on, I think that the stock market's doing pretty good, and everything. I think interest rates eventually will come down a little bit when Trump and Powell quit fighting, and we'll have some things really going. But I look for it to be a busy fall, and I really think with this Missouri, this capital gains deal, I think that's a bigger thing. People should look at it.
I mean, you figure, just like you said, a lot of these people that's on these farms for 40, 50, 60 years, and they literally paid $200 an acre for them, and now they're worth $7,000-8,000 an acre, and you're talking about they got $1 million gain. That's $50,000 in taxes it saves them.
Absolutely.
Like that alone, that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. So, but again, that's all stuff that they need to talk to their CPA about. But it's out there, and if they give us a shout, we can talk to them, tell them what we know, put them in touch with a good CPA if they don't have one, and we will link. I'll link to that House bill. It's really broad right now. I don't think there's any really any guidance on how it goes according to my CPA I talked to. But there will be some, other than it's they're going to eliminate it, Anyway, well, I can't think of too much else. We need to
give us a call. Let's talk about some dirt and try to find you what it is you're looking for.
Absolutely. So I guess with that, we're going to end it. We'll see you.